Hello and welcome to our Easy8 webinar. Today we will talk about the Easy Money plugin. My name is Hedviga and the plugin will be presented by our consultant Eliška Kadupcová. So today we'll talk about first about project budget. So we'll look into the budget of project, how you can set up your planned incomes and expenses, and also what is the reality in your incomes and expenses. We'll also look at the portfolio overview of all our projects. Then we can see, or we can find in Easy8 the cash flow for all the projects for specific period of time. So you can see how you are performing with your project. Then payroll and invoicing sheets. Actually here you can filter according to a user or according to project, how much time was spent on each task and what will be the salary, so internal rate, or what you can invoice to your client, so the external rate. And we'll also have a look at dashboards. So we'll see how you can set up your homepage or how you can set up the dashboard of Money plugin to see what is important for you and use it. So I will give a word to Eliška. During the presentation, you can use the Q&A section to ask your questions and we will answer them during the webinar or at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Hedviga. I will share my screen. So, welcome on the webinar on the financial plugins in Easy8. My name is Eliška. I'm an Easy8 consultant. I am responsible especially for implementation of our software solutions to the clients' companies and organizations. Today, I will take you through the different possibilities we have in this system to plan and track the financials on your projects. I will start with showing you how the budget plugin works on the project level. Then I will move on the global level and would explain how to use it to track financials for project portfolio. We will have a look at so-called payroll and invoicing sheets plugin. Also, I will give some examples of some reports which are possible to set and save in the system. And also we will see some examples of how to use some charts or visualize the financial data on your dashboards. Okay, so I will start with the first topic. I am just moving on a project level. This project is called Art Auction. I am in the budget plugin. It's a project plugin, so if you want to use it, you must activate it on the project settings. Well, here the core of the plugin we can see is a simple table. In the rows there are different items. Sometimes the names are a bit inaccurate. We are currently fixing them and renaming them, so when I remember I will use the more correct the new names we will put them. So first of them are the project revenues. Then we have the project costs. In the system, they are calculated as a sum of the kind of personal direct costs on the project. These are meant to be costs for human resources on the project, and the other costs we have on the project, plus also the expenses, especially travel expenses. Well, I will specify this term of personal costs. In the system, a cost of one employee of work of one employee or user is calculated as the spent time of this user multiplied by certain cost rate, which is linked to this user. So here we can see that 40 hours have been spent on that project, and multiplied by the rates of the individual users which charge them, it made a total of 1,600 euros. In this case, then we will check the settings. This was for the actual incurred costs. With the planned costs, it's more complicated, of course, because when we plan the costs, there is no spent time yet, and we might even not know who will actually perform the work. So then I will explain more in detail what are the possibilities in the system, how to calculate or get calculated these plan personal costs. Okay, this was for the rows. Of course, there is the profit and margin. Then in the columns, we have just two, the project plan. I recommend to plan the financials before the project start, and then just not to change the plan, so that it can be compared with the actuals all the time. When we are creating the project plan, or when we want to track the financials, the way how we can insert the different entries is quite easy. We have two options here. Either we can enter a new income or a new expense. I'll show you, for example, with the income. Here there are two options. I can either select whether it is the planned one or the real one, depending on the nature of this entry, to which column I want to place it. Let's say it's, for example, the planned one. Okay, I'll give it a name. We can see that there is also a date which is linked to the entry. Here I will just write down the amount. There is also the VAT, but there are different settings for that. Then it can be, the entries can be visualized also without VAT, or you just don't have to use that. Also, if you know that you have some repeating revenues, you can set that it will get created automatically on daily, weekly basis, etc. Okay, so I will create that. Okay, now it brought me to the list of all the revenue entries. Here is the one I have just created. So now back to the budget table, and it got already accounted there. When I create a new cost, here it is very similar. It can be either a new one, either a planned one or a real one, and then there are different ways how to create or enter your expenses. So this is one of them. Here we can see there is predefined price per unit. This is something we have previously configured in the settings. I will show you later on where we can do that. And there is a predefined unit. So here we are just about to account some, okay, I would need to create it actually. The price for journey when the unit are kilometers. So when I will fill out the field units, it will get calculated automatically. Then you can also use this type of template to create your travel expense entry, here the price per day is predefined, and you are just selecting the number of days. Then it will get calculated automatically, and you can link it to some user. Then it will depend on you, or the way the character of your journeys, actually which type you want to use. You can actually deactivate both, or you can just, for example, only one of them, etc. Well, maybe I have mentioned everything. As for using that table, just one idea in my mind: if you are planning project, it might be useful for you to plan some, especially costs, on the task level when you are when you break down the structure, and it is easier for you to imagine how would the different pieces cost. You can plan your turn on the budget plugin on the task level, and you can plan your costs on the task level. Of course, then it will get accounted on the project level as well. Well, now let's have a look at the plugin settings. So first, I'd like to speak about the setting of the rates. I have mentioned that the personal costs are calculated automatically based on the spend time and based on the rate of which is linked to given user. This rate can be either set by users. So let's say that the cost of the company of 1 hour of that user is 100 something. Here it is 200, and so on. That's for the first column, the internal rate. There is also external rate. Unlike this one are rather costs for the company, these are rather revenues for the company, because it is saying for how much 1 hour of this user is sold to the client. So there should be some margin, right? Can be like that, for example. Then I will show you when you can get an overview of these revenues calculated based on this rate, but these values are not used in this budget plugin on the project. So we can set it either by users, we can set it also by roles. So let's say that all users which are assigned to project in a project manager role have an internal rate of 40, or we can set it by activity the users perform. They select the activity when they are logging their time, so it will depend on the activity selected. Also, you can have a mix because there is this hierarchy settings, depends on this ranking actually. So as it is currently set, the personal costs which would be calculated based on the rates set by users. If for some user there is no rate set, it will take the rate based on his role. If there are no rates for that role, it will take it based on the activity. Well, so that's it for the rates. Then I will open also the other settings of the module. I think the most important one I wanted to show you are these planned wage expenses. These are actually the planned personal costs. It is the item I told you I would explain more. So here we have the options how we can deal with that. Either we can set the planned personal costs as a total sum. It means that you will just put down the amount you believe would be spent for the human resources on the project. Or we can, for example, set it like that. Expected hours for the project. So you estimate the time the project will take. You can do it by tasks. You can estimate time for your tasks, and then you can multiply the number of some generic hourly rate you will set here. Or there is the most complex solution is that one, I would say, that you will already plan your tasks. Excuse me. You will set the estimated hours for each task, and the estimated hours of the tasks will get multiplied by the hourly rate you will set here. In case there is also an assignee already in the planned task, the estimated time will get multiplied by the rate of that assignee based on the hierarchy you set. So this is for the planned personal costs. And here you can find just the rest of the settings. For example, here you can turn off the expenses functionalities. Here you can set the expenses attributes. Here you can decide whether you will enable the budget plugin on milestones, on tasks, or for example, CRM cases. So that's it. Now let's move on the global level. I have actually posted it here on the top menu for myself so that I can reach it also from my homepage, etc., and other places. You can find it also here in this list. It's the same link. This is like first page. It's a customizable dashboard where you can visualize different statistics or charts or lists like this one. Then I will show you an example of a dashboard as well. Well, and as for the plugins itself, first one is this portfolio overview. This is actually the place where the financials for all projects can get aggregated. So here it always depends on the settings of that filter, but here we can see all the projects and some financial results for them. If you wouldn't like this view, you can have different columns which you can set either by default or you can set them as a filter. You can filter here based on different project attributes, based on different financial items, the entries, and even you can filter based on project custom fields. Here I have prepared a filter. We can see that this output is very different from the previous one. It's because I have set it as a chart, and here I have filtered just some projects, and I am watching the total real or actual costs on the project comparing to total planned costs on the project. Another plugin is called Cashflow. It's actually very similar to the previous one. We have a list of projects here, and here we can set the columns, we can choose them here. There is just only one difference, that these are not the total numbers, but the financials are here distributed by the period when that the given entry was actually accounted. it depends on the day or on that entry template. So yeah, you can choose different lengths of the period. Also, there is a possibility to watch just lists of some of those entries, for example, real revenues. Here I have prepared a filter. It's called paid invoices because I have set a custom field in that entries of real revenues. The custom field is called paid. You can have a checkbox whether it was already paid or not, and based on that I can filter my paid invoices like this. I can imagine you can also filter your overdue invoices if you set the overdue due date as a custom field, etc. Well, this was for the budget plugin on the global level. Now let's check the payroll and invoicing sheet plugin. It is actually a list of all the time entries. Of course, you can filter here again, and you can set different charts and reports. I'll show later on. There is one difference from the usual time, from the usual spend time entries. It is that here you can see also the internal costs and the external revenue, let's say. So here you can say the costs of the time for the company, and here you can say the revenue for the company. Sometimes the company differentiate billable and non-billable time, so of course you can filter here just the billable entries and you can see the revenues of that. I have set some filters as well. They are saved here, but again I have posted them here to the top menu because I wanted to show them. Here you can actually put different links to different filters and make your own set of reports here. So for example, here these are the personal costs by projects. So on the side there are different projects, and here in time you can see always the aggregated spend time on that project and the cost of that time. It's visible, for example, here. Well, so that's it for the reports. And to show you the dashboard, I will just apply dashboard to my own application. Okay, this one. Well, so this is one example of a dashboard which can be customized. In this case, I have it on my personal homepage, but it can be used also on the project dashboard. It can be used on different places in the application. Let's just check those outputs we haven't seen before. For example, like this, it is possible to get visualized some financial totals for all the projects. Here we will see different kind of charts. These are supposed to be revenues by months, and it is there is a comparison of the planned and real revenues. They are not aggregated, but they are just always the revenues for that month. And here again, another indicators. In this case, you can see different kind of costs. Here, it is just an example that these boxes can show you also the trend, some comparison with the previous time period. Okay, so I will end by showing that dashboard, and maybe now it is time for your questions.
Thank you very much, Eliška. So far I didn't get any question, but if you still have some questions, don't hesitate to ask us. We'll help you with everything. Thank you very much for watching this webinar. I hope you liked it. So I will start a little poll. So if you can give me a feedback if you liked it. Of course, as Eliška mentioned, we are still working on improving this money plugin, and during summer you can expect some improvement already in your Easy Redmine, and after that we'll do another webinar about money, so you can see what is new. If you have any ideas, what would you like to see the next time with us, just let me know, just reply to the invitation to this webinar, or contact us at info@easysoftware.com, and we will help you with everything. Thank you very much for the feedback. I still don't see any questions. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.